Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to today's live session. We're on session number 54, and like always, I'm super excited for the amazing conversation that we are going to have today because we're going to address one of the most important aspects of success, one of the most important aspects of building the lives that we want and the way to make it happen, because there's a lot of ways to achieve goals. There's a lot of strategies we can use, a lot of perspectives we can imbibe, a lot of skills that we can learn. And yet, if this one thing is missing, somewhere or the other, the skills will be incomplete, your goals won't happen, and you will take a lot of action, but you'll always be left wondering, why are things not working out the way I want them to work out? And well, the answer for that lies in the conversation that we're about to have. And it's so powerful and it's so amazing that you will be amazed at how fast things change in your life the moment you start to adopt this balanced approach to success, the moment you start to apply this process that I'm about to introduce you to personally in my life. If out of all the success that I've created, from writing my book to making it a bestseller to making a world record to coaching hundreds of people to becoming someone who's able to have these conversations and lead people at the age of 19 itself, all of this has been possible because of the one skill that I'm about to introduce you to today. And when I talk about it, you'll probably feel this is going to lead me to success. Well, actually, it is. It's ironic. It's not always as straightforward as the usual success advice, but it works like magic. And I'll also tell you why it works like magic. So, are you ready to learn this amazing new skill that can completely change your life for the better and make you the best version of yourself? Well, I know you are. If you're watching this, I know that you are ready. So let's dive straight into it. And the skill I'm talking about is questioning and thinking. Now, I know you might be thinking this is something we all do, right? We all think, we all question, we all look at the world, and the first thing that happens in our mind is a question comes up. Why is something the way it is? Why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? I mean, as kids, that was we have been used to asking a lot of questions. So the problem is not that we don't know how to ask questions. The problem is we forget how to ask questions. And as we grow up into adults, as we grow up into this version of ourselves that succeeds and that's fitting in with whatever definition the world is telling us to fit into, we lose out on the skill of questioning. And rather than looking at the world with curiosity, we start to look at the world from a lens of judgment instead. Rather than looking at something new and wondering, oh, wow, why is it the way it is? We think, that's not how it's done. That's not how you should do it. It's done this other way. How many times have you caught yourself saying that statement? How many times in your life have you looked at a stranger and wondered, where did they even learn that? How many times has it happened that you've been talking to a friend or a colleague and they're trying to show you something, they're excited. But rather than learning it with curiosity, you chirp in with your own opinions, you chirp in with your own ideas because your mind has long forgotten how to ask questions and how to just learn. And because of that, you miss out on the most important question and the most important skill that's there to creating the life that you want. Because otherwise, before I tell you the question, I want to paint you a picture of what happens when we forget to use the skill of questioning in our lives. It's simple, it's trivial, but it's very, very impactful. Now, I want you to imagine this. I want you to imagine that this pen right here is a rocket that is launching into space. Okay. So it's here. Let's say this is the launch pad. From this launch pad, this rocket has to take off and then curve and then head into the orbit and go out into space. Pretty simple, but quite literally rocket science. So it's going to be complicated. It's going to have a lot of questions. It's going to have a lot of physics and maths and other scientific stuff that's too complicated to wrap up in a 15-minute video. But, anyways, now imagine this. While the scientists and the researchers are working on building the most effective rocket, is there a chance that their calculations could go wrong? Yes or no? Of course, there are. Anybody can make that mistake. Any human being can make that mistake. In fact, not even a human being, even Chat GPT or a computer can make that mistake. So it's pretty common and it's understandable that something like this would happen. And then when it happens, can they just ask the question, okay, what's going wrong here? Let me see and let me correct. They can. But now I want you to imagine that there's a special kind of laboratory. Let's say this laboratory is being run by a dictator, and all the dictator wants is a rocket that goes into space in the next year. And nobody is allowed to question the dictator. Nobody is allowed to question the dictator's approach, the dictator's goal, the realisticness of that. No, they all have to listen to what the dictator is saying. So is somebody even willing to question if things are going wrong in the process? Oh no, they are not. So if one calculation goes wrong, two calculations go wrong, three calculations go wrong, four calculations go wrong, five calculations goes wrong, 500 calculations go wrong in a subsequent series of events, the day the rocket takes off, is it going to be a success or is it going to be a massive failure? I don't think I need to tell you the answer. You just know it. It is going to be a massive, massive, massive failure because all the calculations were wrong to begin with in the first place. So when the rocket actually started to take off, rather than heading into the orbit, the rocket just fell back down because there was no science, there was no questioning, there was no way to correct and improve the mistakes that were made, all because one dictator had said, oh no, we are not going to question it. We are just going to go after the goal. We are just going to go after the vision. You see how this could be a catastrophic failure. My question is, what about your life? How many times do you set these goals? And I know you do, where it's like, I'm going to achieve this no matter what, but you haven't even paused to ask yourself, is that a goal you want or not? You haven't even explored the possibilities with curiosity. You haven't even considered what to do if a calculation goes wrong, or if a decision goes wrong, or if the whole thing tumbles into a big, massive failure. And yet you are out there wondering, why am I not successful? Yet you're out there chasing the clouds, you're chasing big dreams, big visions, but with no footing in reality. And then when the bubble pops, you're like, why did I not see it coming? How could I be so stupid? How could I be this failure? How could I make such wrong decisions? Well, it's because you simply were missing out on the skill of asking questions, especially the hard ones. Now, how to build that skill is a conversation we're going to have. We will talk about it in one of the future sessions where we cover up communication and other creative thinking and strategic thinking skills. There's a lot of things that we can talk about here on this channel. My God, I'm so excited just thinking about the different topics I can do these live sessions on. But today, I want to get you started on this instead. You can learn the skill as and when the time comes. You will build it. I know it. But can I introduce you to the one question that can change everything for you? That personally changed everything for me and is the reason I'm successful today. Now, rather than telling you the question at the start, I wanted to give you this whole understanding of why the question matters in the first place. And now that you know it, I know you're ready to hear the question. So, the golden question, the one question that completely changes everything, is when you can look at a goal, when you can look at this dream and this vision that you have, and then ask yourself, what could go wrong here and how could this fail? I know we're not used to thinking that, right? Probably the moment you heard the question, how could this fail? Your mind instantly said, no, 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 I don't want to manifest anything negative. I don't want anything negative in my life. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I have faith. I know I'm going to achieve my goal. Yes, you have faith. Yes, you're going to achieve your goal. But what if you fail? Are you even ready for that? No, you're not. And because you're not asking that question, you're not preparing enough to actually get the success as well. Because when you succeed, it's not just the success you get, it's also the ability and the capacity to handle the failure that comes with it in case the success goes away. Unfortunately, 90% of us do not have the ability to deal with the failures only because we are shunning them away. We are saying, oh no, that failure, that's not going to happen. That's not possible. Why do I even need to worry about it? Well, here's why. It helps you prepare, it helps you become your best self, and it makes you so strong that nothing can ever shake your path, because it gives you a strong enough reason to keep continuing the pursuit of your goals, to keep continuing the success journey that you are building. You know, personally, this question has helped me so much, because every single thing that I've done now recently, I've asked myself this question. Not because I want to manifest anything negative, but because I want to be prepared for what's coming up, right? So as I've been doing these live sessions, I want to, let's take this demo as well. I started these back in February. We're now near the end of April, so more than 2 months, almost 3 months is where we are reaching now. Monday to Friday, every single day at 8:30 p.m. was not a small commitment. I knew what I was getting into. And as I was getting into this, as I started the process, I asked myself a few of these questions. What could go wrong here? The first answer was, nobody will show up for your live sessions. And I knew that's going to be the first answer. Then I asked myself, am I okay with that? And the answer was, you know what? Yeah. If people show up, good. If they don't, good as well. I have a video ready. I've practiced speaking live. I've improved my communication skills. That's success for me. Now, I was getting clarity because I asked the question, what could go wrong? Now, another thing that could go wrong was I would get inconsistent, or doing the session at 8:30 p.m. every day could get inconvenient. Or was I ready to deal with that? That's the question I asked myself. And the answer again came to be yes, I was. So, as a result of that clarity, as a result of looking at what could cause failures, what could cause hiccups, what could cause barriers in my journey, I was able to show up for the sessions even when I'd spend the whole day working and coaching and talking to people. And now here I was to talk again for 15 more minutes. I was clear on that. I'm going to do it no matter what. I was also clear on the fact that if I fall sick or if something or the other happens, until and unless it's something as big as the internet being wiped out, so I cannot really do the live session even if I want to. Apart from that, any other challenge, I'll handle it. I'll deal with it. So there have been days on these sessions where I've been a bit sick, but I've not missed the clock by a single minute. And just like that, I also asked myself this question: how else could this fail? How else could this go wrong? And the answer was, maybe after doing it for 1 month, I realized this is not something I like to do. Maybe after doing it for 6 months, I realized, oh, this was just a waste of time. Would I be okay with that possibility as well? My answer once again was yes, because this wouldn't be wasted effort. This would be skills and times and focus I have spent in honing my skill and in honing my craft. So just asking myself the question, what could go wrong and how could this fail, inversed my thinking, and rather than making me negative, it prepared me for the very realistic challenges that I encountered. You see, the problem we face today in the world is not a lack of belief in success. That's there. But the bigger problem is how much we are fooling ourselves by believing that if I just ignore the negativity, if I just ignore the possibility of failure, the possibility will go away. No, it won't. Just because I'm speaking to you right now, but I cover my eyes and I'm not able to see the camera, doesn't mean you can't see me anymore. You can. Just like that. Ignoring the problem or ignoring the possibility of failure does not make the possibility of failure go away. The more you ignore it, the greater the chances of you failing, because you're not even prepared for the failure. You're not even aware of the failure. But someone who's taken the time to understand what causes this, someone who's taken the time to see how could my project fail, how could my goal fail, how could things not work out, and then prepared for that, those are the people who have succeeded. Those are the people who've made it big. Not because they think negative, but because they think strategic, and because they are aware. They are not God, they're human. They can also make mistakes. So rather than cursing God later on, I better prepare now. So even if something goes wrong, I can look up to God and I can say, thank you, God, for preparing me. I know I did my best. I'll do better next time. That confidence, that clarity, that certainty, that heaviness and depth you see and you feel when someone speaks with conviction, that comes from here, my friend. It doesn't come from a goal, it doesn't come from achievements, it comes from the heart. And the day it comes from the heart is the day you are clear within, and you also ask yourself the questions where you are not afraid to look at the failure, because deep down you know you can handle it. There's a lot more to learn about questioning, there's a lot more to understand about this idea of looking at failure before it even happens. I'll go into depth in all of that in the sessions that come up. But my first question is this: are you seeing the power that this inverse thinking holds? It's not negative, but it's preparing you for the future that's the best for you, for the future that you want to create. And if you can be ready for both the outcomes, then you are truly, truly ready for success. So ask yourself this question about any goal that you're chasing but feeling a bit uncomfortable about, and face the discomfort. Ask yourself, how could this fail? One thing that will happen is your fear of failure will go away because you realize, oh, wait, it's not really that bad. I can handle it. And the second thing is, you will be better prepared to handle it because you will be aware and you will know why you are doing what you're doing. And that, my friends, will get you the clarity that you want, the focus that you want, and will completely change the way you achieve your goals, because you'll no longer be throwing darts in the dark. You will become someone who is clear, who is aware, and who sees the path, who sees the success, who sees the opportunity before others have even opened their eyes. And this is the advantage you get when you learn to think strategically and ask these inverse questions that are truly, truly powerful. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you once again tomorrow at the same time. That is 8:30 p.m. IST. Bye. See you soon.